Alrighty, Karen Lovely here. Woo woo woo! I'm on the line with an extraordinary man, human being, uh, Homo sapien, person, Charles
Did you
Best.
just call me a Homo
Yeah,
sapien?
Homo sapien. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay. And so we're doing a follow up to our last conversation, and we left it. Let me just remind you, we left it. You said, Karen, how do I practice this? Or how come it didn't stick? And we're saying what didn't stick? How you remembering the experience that created your initial mind virus that comes into play at 1/500th of a second without any conscious awareness when we least expect it, but in the context of going for our next goal, dream, desire, passion. So that said, representing that, Charles, how are you today and how are things going?
Things are going very well, actually, and
Great.
I, I wish I could say, oh yeah, I'm trigger free,
Yeah, right?
but that doesn't happen. I don't think it
Mm-mm.
ever happens really.
No,
And
no.
okay, but
Mm-hmm.
what is happening is, I hear your voice in my head. I hear our sessions in my head, and I'm reminded that that it's not about them or him.
Mm-hmm.
It's about me, and it's okay to be selfish at this point when it comes to dealing with these triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a quick it's a it now, when I get triggered, it triggers something in me that works on the time that trigger lasts. So it's like I get triggered, then I get triggered.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's a good thing.
Yes. Okay, so I want to explain about this whole triggering thing. It's inevitable and it is a phenomenon that occurs for the rest of our life. Now, here's the thing. Interestingly enough, the way to mitigate these triggers, these mind viruses that try to stop us from staying out of our comfort zone to our dreams, our goals, our desires. Okay? The way to mitigate that is not go for your dreams. Don't go for your desires. Stay in status quo. Live in mediocrity. Settle. That is what most human beings do, and that keeps them so they believe trigger free and they don't even know it's a trigger. But in other words, it's playing it safe, so to speak, as when we don't actually go for the next goal or milestone, then we have the least, what's the word I'm looking for? Risk of being triggered. Does that make sense, Charles?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Now, here's how this works. The more we stay out of what is familiar and what we have known into the unfamiliar, it will always trigger the amygdala, the fear mechanism in the brain, for survival purposes. So the amygdala is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze, especially in the realm of going for our dreams. So I say this because you want to be triggered, because that is a sign that you are going for the next thing in your life. And why wouldn't you? Otherwise, we're stuck in complacency and we're stuck in status quo. Now, okay, I'm not the judge and jury here, but that ain't for me. The last thing I ever want to do is live in complacency and settle. And I cannot stand mediocrity. And now I have nothing to prove. Before it was an addiction that I had to prove myself worthy by my external conditions and my circumstances. Now it's just because that's what makes me happy and I'm most passionate about. So I say that, say if people are okay in their life, I wish you all the best. However, there's a direct correlation between the bigger the dream, the bigger the fear, the more often we're triggered. So we want to reframe that context into, yay, I'm being triggered. That tells me that I'm onto something in terms of inner growth, wisdom, and success. Does that make sense, Charles?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to you and I'm kind of thinking about, recent experiences. And, as you know, I have I have a big dream and big vision of what's going
Yes.
on with myself and my company.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I I am looking for validation from from others
Mm-hmm.
as to where what I'm doing. And so when I move forward in a real uh, strong and passionate direction, like when I just really go for it, and I start achieving uh, some of the milestones towards my vision, it's really interesting how when you say that the trigger then appears because it wants to knock me back to mediocrity, and I'm addicted to the trigger. So
Mm-hmm.
when I start moving forward, I'm actually waiting for the the hit. It's like
Yes.
any day now, it's gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
and then boom, it happens, of course, and and it's almost like I'm saying, "Come on, bring it, hit me," and then it hits me, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oops."
Yeah, right? Watch out for what you wish for. Oh, okay, I want to address this. Would you say this is that whole cliche that when is the other shoe going to drop?
Yes.
Yes, and which is the weirdest phrase ever. What does that even mean? The other shoe dropping? I don't,
Let's
right?
not go there. That
Right.
doesn't make any sense at all.
Exactly. And then yet it's a thing.
Yes.
And I actually just worked on this with another client, waiting for that shoe to drop, which almost every human being on the planet can relate to at some level. So what we're really
Yeah.
saying, see if this resonates. When is it going to end? When is it going to the wrench going to be thrown into the spoke of the wheel?
Right.
Right. Uh, when is the goodness going to stop? Uh,
When is the true me going to show up?
Ooh, good one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, oh yeah, you're doing fine, you're heading towards your dreams, but at any point
Mm-hmm.
something's going to happen, and the true you, which is not a successful person, which is someone that always, something happens out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere, blindsides you, and it's going to happen, so enjoy the ride while you can. And it's almost like walking in a dark area and continually peeking around the corner, knowing that at any point you're going to get shot in the head, kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it's like you're living your life walking on eggshells at every moment. And then with little blurps, right? A little blurps of success and happiness and accomplishment and acknowledgement. But underneath it is this underlying, for how long do I have? Enjoy it while I can. When's the other shoe going to
Yes.
drop? Okay, so
Yes.
first of all, let me help you handle this. Number one, don't resist the shoe dropping. What we resist persists. Okay?
Mm.
Look, life is about ebb and flow. So what you're really saying is you're actually really saying I'm living in fear, but really living to not be in fear. Two things are
Mm.
going on. It's the internal conflict. Okay? Is you're succeeding consciously. So the conscious mind is on track. The subconscious is the underlying theme threading through, and that is invisible unconscious fear of failure. So the conscious mind tries to cover up the fear, and underneath it, you're not really even recognizing it as blatant fear. It shows up as symptomatic. And the symptom is this belief that it's going to end, the other shoe's going to drop. So, do you get that that's an illusion? It's a myth. logically, there's no shoe dropping. We don't even know what that means, where it came from. It makes zero sense logically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, when the brain is idling at invisible, insidious, unconscious fear, it actually stops our ability to be rational and logical. Fear trumps logic. So, here you are idling in fear, believing in a lie, and it's a perception that it's going to end. Consciously, you have a choice to let that go based on what shoe is dropping. What are you even talking about? You sound crazy. By understanding that life is ebb and flow, that we go through life and there are circumstances that occur. So the power lies in our ability to not be at the effect of those circumstances and our external conditions. Ooh, did you catch that?
I caught it, but I don't know what I got.
Oh, yeah, right? That's big. In other words, the power lies in never being affected in your thoughts and your perceptions and your beliefs by whatever's happening outside of you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, all right. And so when you say never being affected, I mean, to me, that sounds impossible.
Yeah, it virtually is. But it can be done consciously. So here's how we do it. Underneath, does it resonate with you to, when I say the other shoe dropping is really a cover-up or a mask or facade for fear of failing?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So
how about not, I mean, you say it's a fear of failing, and I'm sure that is the deep
underneath, yes. Mm-hmm.
But the way that it feels on the surface, for maybe those that are trying to figure it out themselves too, is that actually is my comfort zone. Okay.
What your familiar zone, what you've known is failure.
Familiar, not comfort, familiar.
Yeah.
And so, it's like when it is, it's there's a fear, but there's also, okay, there it is. I predicted it. I knew it would happen. It always happens. It's kind of like your mom saying,
I told you
I
so.
told you so.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so go ahead. What are you telling yourself so? What are you actually saying in one sentence or one phrase?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That is a good one. What I'm telling myself is, you really don't know what you're doing. This is all an experiment that you're used to failing at this experiment. So it's not intent. It's not. I'm telling myself, you think you're on a path, but you're going to find out that this experiment is going to fail. You're going to be back where you were before. That's
what you're telling yourself.
Yes, that's what I'm telling myself.
Okay, so let's
that's how it shows up.
Yeah. Okay. So you get to be right then. You get to feed into that over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what we believe and lies in the subconscious mind becomes our reality. So here's the thing. I'm going to let you be right. I'm going to let you win here for a moment in terms of, let's go down the rabbit hole with this.
No, do we have to?
Yeah, we do, real fast. What does it even mean to you to fail? Or what does it even mean to you to not achieve your goals? In other words, let me say it this way. If you don't, then what does that say about you ultimately?
Gosh, the words that just went across my mind were all ugly words. Let's see here. How about what it means is, I don't know, it just means that I'm a fraud.
Yeah, go ahead. Good.
It means I have no control over the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
It means, it's really, there it is again, a vicious cycle of what always happens.
Yeah, which is all symptomatic. So it just feeds right into that. So you're a fraud and you have no control.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're like a fraud, a liar, you're pretending, you're right. You're putting up a great show, but there's no sustenance. There's nothing. There's no meat of the sandwich here. It's all a lie.
All the results are temporary.
Yes. Okay.
Even though things are going amazing for me right now.
Yeah.
Truly amazing.
So isn't that the worst? Talk about my definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy making. Consciously, you're like, things are great. So wonderful so far. Underneath all of that is, oh God, please don't let me F it up. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be out of control. And I don't want to show up to others like I'm a big liar and fraud.
That's about it.
Yeah. Yep. Welcome to the plight of humanity. Okay, so right off the bat, here's the problem with your formula. You unfortunately are defining yourself through your circumstances. In other words, you don't have you. What you have is this shell, and then in order for the shell to feel full, you have to go fill it up with circumstances, external conditions, by succeeding, by making money, by launching new businesses, by having everyone see you as someone. That's how you're living your life, by defining yourself outside of you. You with me?
Yep.
Okay, do you see it's a glass bottom? It's a foundation, a cracked foundation, waiting to crumble. So you are now defining yourself. So you are your accomplishments. You are your success. You are your bank account numbers. That's a problem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the crazy part. All based on illusions. What you're fearing is not real. You just think it is based on your most significant, impactful, painful failure early on in your life before you were 19 years old. Which would be what?
The ones that we've talked about in our last sessions?
Well, think about this in terms of, it would look like this. It would look at yourself 19, 20 years old and under, where things were going well. You're a man about town. You got money coming in. You know, you got the relationship, the new car, whatever it looks like for you. Where you had this sense of, your first job.
Right.
And then, boom, either it failed, got fired, or the business dissolved, even if you were selling lemonade.
I'm with you. Yeah, I can think of that time. Yes.
Okay, tell me, how old were you, and quickly what happened?
I was 22, 23.
Okay.
And I ended up getting fired for something.
Right.
After working there for 3 or 4 years, but thinking that was it. I had the great job. Remember, I told you that I thought I was going to get promoted, and I got fired.
Okay, so that's 22, 23. I want you to think back earlier, just to see. It was something, even in school, in 8th grade or something, where you were running for class president and you didn't get elected. I mean, it could be anything like this. You started mowing lawns.
I think my I don't know if it was occupational or relational. I think what comes to mind is all the times in high school where, even though I was a successful sports jock kind of guy, I never could get, have a date, or never had a girlfriend. Everyone else was doing that. I just remember kind of being kind of that left at the altar on Friday night kind of thing.
Okay, that's good. That works. because that plays into it as well. This sense of, so you're saying, were you on a varsity sports team?
Yeah, a couple of them.
A couple of them. And so were you kind of like one of the big athletes in the school?
Yep. Yep.
And so you're the star athlete, or right? And but why are you still alone? Why isn't anyone into you?
Right. Right.
Right. Did you even ask girls out?
Yeah, let me think about that one. I don't know if I think I kind of assumed that because here's the quick one. I was around the cheerleaders and so it looked good on the outside, but on the inside I wasn't dating anyone. I wasn't going out with anyone. On Friday night, everyone would head out to the drive-in theater and I'm like alone because, I didn't have the courage to ask any of them or, whatever that mojo was, I didn't have it. It looked like it from the outside because I was around them, but on the inside I didn't have what it takes to ask someone out or do that. And so I do remember hugely overcompensating for that later on. And
that's what you're still doing.
Yeah.
So now it even goes before that. So now we're back to 7 years old. We discussed that.
Yeah.
Right? We're back to 7 years old where you should have known better. So
are we going to go through my vicious cycle here? Is that what this session's about?
Well, here's the thing. No, what it's about is I need you to see and integrate that whatever you perceived back at 7 and then in high school is all the root cause of the problem today that's showing up in your life like clockwork today. And here's what it looks like. And I can say it for myself, which is easier to hear someone else than you because your self-defense coping mechanisms are getting triggered now. Right. Okay, you want to fight it. You don't even want to talk about it, but we have to examine the past, distinguish it to get rid of it. Okay. So this is the plight of humanity. Because we don't train, we don't know, we're not educated, we have no idea that all of our perceptions, everything that we believe about ourselves are myths. They're not real. But it was just what you assumed in the moment based on your objective reality. The brain then takes the objective reality and associates it, ties it, entangles it with our perceptions, and then the brain thinks it's real because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So you imagined you're not good enough. You imagined that you're a fraud, and you imagine you have no control.
Yeah.
The need to control is really underneath that is you feeling a sense of self-confidence and self-respect. So when we don't feel a sense of that deep within our core being, we have to go out and control everything to try to hide these insidious emotions that aren't blatant. They're not obvious. They're not showing up because the brain is designed to hide it all for survival purposes. And when I say survival, look, you are alive and well, breathing with a pulse to this day. Right?
Yes.
Okay? That's all the brain is concerned about. Doesn't care if you're ever happy. Doesn't ever care if you're successful or launch a successful business. Has no interest in that. The only thing our brain cares about most and is designed for by default on autopilot is that you're breathing with a pulse. So it's a conscious mind that can override all of this by understanding how it works. So back to 7, we talked about that. You were born in San Diego and you liked white people. You go back to the East Coast to visit your grandmother and it's all what? All black. And
and prejudice.
And prejudice, that's right. And then you had a really traumatic experience.
Yep.
And then you said to yourself, what?
I said to myself, what did I say to myself?
I should have known. I should have known.
Yeah, I should have known. Why? Yeah, I was blindsided and I should have known about before. Well, I should have known the answer before I was asked the question. I should have known I was even going to get asked. That's what I
Yeah.
feel.
So
That's what I
if
feel.
you had known, then what? You would have been what?
I would have been prepared.
And if you're prepared, then what?
Then I would have lied, I guess. Is really what would have happened. I mean,
Well, what you're really saying is if you had known, then you would have protected yourself against what?
yeah, I would have protected myself against, uh, um, I don't know, ridicule, the fear of
Prejudice?
getting,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I would have protected myself against the assault that I
Experience.
received.
Yes.
Yes.
So you think that if you had known, you would have been safe and protected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Now, I need you to step out and outside of this and be the observer. First
Okay.
of all, how are you ever to have known? No one ever told you.
Uh, no one ever told me.
No.
No.
There's no way you could have known. And do you understand that even if you had known, there is in no way, shape, or form the guarantee that you'd ever be protected from racism and assault and criticism and judgment? Looking back now.
Right. Yeah.
See, so
Yeah.
you,
There's no way I could have. There's no way I could have been able to transcend the whole situation
no,
at
no,
7 years old.
that's exactly right.
Uh,
And you're living your life according to you. See, this is where we go crazy. And if we don't work it out, it does lead to senility, Alzheimer's, dementia. That's what I truly believe. Schizophrenia, even. Okay? But that's neither here nor there. Think about this. Logically, there's no way you could have known, and you're crazy to think you'd ever be protected against racism, prejudice, judgment. It's impossible. We have no control over anyone else, ever. The best we could ever have is not, and I don't like to use the word control, but is to have control of ourselves and our mind and our thought processes and our ability to perceive and understand those perceptions are illusions and not true. Are you with me?
Yep.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, does it make sense that you should have known something which was impossible to know, which there was never any guarantee it would have worked anyway?
Yeah.
You get that?
Yep. I do.
Uh-huh. You
I
could
do.
know.
There's no
Yeah.
way I could have. There's no way I could have created the scenario that was going to guarantee my protection or whatever the response is. Not at 7.
No, but here's how it works. This is why it's still with us today. Every human being has the same thing in their own form. Is because it's hardwired in from 7. You thought it was your truth based on objective reality, based on the other people assaulting you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you associated, oh no, I'm in danger, I'm not protected, racism, prejudice, whatever it was, assault, and real people. So the brain took that and meshed it all together as your reality. So from 7 years old on, you're believing this is real. That you should know everything. And then by knowing everything, Charles, then you think you'll have control of your life to protect yourself from evil and failure. Is that tracking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's opened up a new door in my brain, but yeah, for sure.
Okay, but so put it on me. If I said, okay, Charles, the more control I have over myself, the more I'll never fail and the more successful I will be.
Right.
Does that sound ridiculous? How is any human being ever going to be fully protected? It's impossible. That's impossible.
Right.
Okay? Even if you're like the best, most compassionate, loving, brilliant person on the planet, a third of the people don't care. A third of the people won't like you. And about a third of the people will like you. You can't control it.
I think an easy way for me to understand it is this pursuit of knowledge, of knowing.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah.
How much, if I just know enough, if I have enough knowledge, then I won't fail. And if I can prove that I know enough, and I won't have to worry about being even confronted with, any possible assaults or whatever. And so, but that's stupid because how can you know enough? I mean, that's impossible.
Thank you. There's the open door. You just got that. So the question would be not when the other shoe's going to drop, because that's another lie and myth. The real question is, when are you really going to accept the fact that it's impossible to know everything in order to control your life and protect yourself from failure?
Yeah.
At what point are you going to accept that failure is subjective also? If it doesn't work, in other words, failure is the best, and our mistakes are the best, most powerful way to learn and grow wiser. It's necessary. And also, do you understand you're defining yourself by what you think you should be? As opposed to, so my saying goes, if you're going to make up crap, make up great crap. So you made up at 7, I should have known. No. Yeah. If you're going to make up that, you can make up, I'll never know everything, but I'm committed to knowing everything that I need to know to live happily with great health and great abundance and prosperity, regardless of my circumstances. And then counterintuitively, Charles, that's the very thing that has you be one of the most valuable commodities on the planet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm writing notes, that's why I'm quiet.
Okay. We just have one more minute here. Finish up the notes. But say it back. Good. Say it back to me now. This is how you imprint it. What did you hear? What are you getting?
Well, what I'm getting is that I am not defined by others' opinions of what I have accomplished. That's one of the main things. And I will never know enough to protect myself. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
However, if I look at life, like I am I have this unlimited capacity of the ability to, like the storage of all this knowledge. I'll never know enough, but it doesn't matter because all of my experiences, including my failures, are all being thrown into this great receptor, whatever the word is, right? Receptacle, right?
Yeah.
All my experiences, failures, victories, almost there, over there, all that stuff gets thrown in there, and it continually adds to a better outcome because it adds to a better me. And like what's happening right now, the reason why I'm successful is because of all those failures and all those things that have happened that I now have as positive evidence, or not evidence, positive tools that I can bring to the table as compared to when I was 7, where I had no tools, no nothing to bring to the table. And,
That's right.
If I look back at that as a positive experience, like that's you learning one thing, and now you've learned another couple million things, and that's what's great about me.
Oh yeah. Okay. So do you have a few more minutes?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to tell you the biggest secret of success ever on the planet. You ready?
Am I going to be a billion gazillionaire because of this secret?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Here it is the only one common denominator of the most successful people on the planet on every level: happiness, health, wellness, finances, is their ability, our ability, your ability, my ability, your ability to actually powerfully love failure and have it be just a growth spurt mechanism or tool. In other words, what I'm saying is the only one common denominator is not being motivated and determined. That's bull crap. It's our ability to make it through the worst, the crisis, the trauma, the failures. Again, failure is subjective. But let's just say what's not subjective is the profit margin. If we don't Steve Jobs, they lost so much money by launching one of their devices, the BlackBerry thing. They lost billions on that because they rushed it to market. One of the greatest mistakes they could ever make to be who they are today. It's necessary. It's inevitable. And so if you have the tools and really the consciousness, the antivirus software, this is what it takes, is your ability to fail time and time again, to make mistakes time and time again, to get fired time and time again, metaphorically. Do you understand this?
Yes, I do.
And that's what does it. So bring it. I was fired from volunteer work. Fired! What? I go volunteer my time. I go to talk about this, what I'm talking to with you right now. It was too much for the addict women. They were traumatized. It was too high level. It was triggering all of their victim in them, and I didn't know it because it was something I had no idea. And we didn't have it set up powerfully. They kept barraging me with questions, and that wasn't the way we were supposed to do it. And so it triggered a lot of the women, and then the woman fired me, the head woman. So here's what's interesting. Fired from volunteer work. Okay, if that's not the worst way to be fired, I don't know what is. Isn't that true? That trumps your being fired at 22 or 23. Doesn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, it does. So here's what happened. I looked at it the same way I'm telling you. I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't, okay, I take responsibility. I see that. Okay, great mistake. I know not what to do. Now I know, don't go in and trigger people. So then time goes on, I said, you know what? I'm going back. But this time, I'm going to do something that doesn't trigger people. I'm going to teach hip hop. I'd call them back up and say, hey, listen, I want to teach hip hop. They're like, oh my God, we were just looking for a hip hop teacher. Boom, back in. Okay, long story short, right? Trusting myself, looking in the face of the people who fired me, I go right back in. And guess what? The woman who fired me just got fired a week ago. Bam, drop the mic. Do you understand this? What I'm saying is, I looked at that being fired from volunteer work as the greatest blessing of my life and said, I humbled myself, I regrouped, and I went back in. And I apologized, I had no idea. I did all of that with them. And then it was, obviously, they were respectful. They took the apology, and the owner of the foundation actually said the same thing happened to me when I was volunteering. She actually told me the same story. And then they take me back, and I've been there ever since. And now I'm looking to have my own little dance studio within the facility. Okay? So what I'm saying is, leaving you with this, Charles, right? Everything you just got. We're going to continue this conversation because it's the best conversation on the planet. Is reframing. Now, don't resist the other shoe dropping. In other words, you have to go, okay, so if the other shoe drops, whatever that even means, and if I want to believe that, it's going to cost me. But I have the technology, the tools, the support to navigate through it powerfully, to move right through it, bring it. But even better,
really quickly, like the reason why I enjoy working with the boss that I have right now, with the CEO, is when he sits me down and we kind of talk about what's happening, he's like, something's going to happen. That's awesome. Something is going to hit us, and that's awesome. We'll just look at it, we'll deal with it, and we'll move on from there. And he's like what you're saying. He's like, well, this is going to be awesome because I've surrounded myself with really smart people, and when the poo-poo hits the fan, we're going to be ready for it.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'm asking you now to take on, not even try on. Take on. There's no shoe to drop.
Oh, that part.
Yes. Stop trying to protect yourself from something because you're going to create it. Why not just let go?
Okay. Well, I was headed down a good path, and that was a little mistake, but no problem. I learned from it.
Exactly. Exactly. I need you to hear my voice in your head going, wait, what does that even mean? There's no shoe to drop. It's just life. So the more powerful we are in the face of every circumstance, thought and emotion, that we can say, wait a minute, let's separate objective reality, subjectivity, my perceptions, the things that aren't even true. Let's keep those things separate. Let's let go of any fear. This is life, yin and yang, ebb and flow. So by you just saying, okay, I'm a little afraid right now, I'm going to allow the fear to be here. Even if it doesn't feel like blatant fear, say it. Because what happens is the brain goes, oh, wait, we're not afraid anymore. Because the minute you admit to it and emote and feel it, it dissipates, it disappears. Then your ability to be rational and logical can kick back in for you to go, wait a second, I know this. I now know I've seen this play before. I recognize this situation, this experience. What can I learn from it? Are you with me, Charles?
Yep.
Or are you taking notes?
Yep.
Excellent. A+ student right there. Coachable, trainable, brilliant. So is that resonating with you?
Yes, it does. A lot.
Beautiful. How are you feeling about, oh no, when's the shoe going to drop? When is it going to end? I better enjoy it while I can. How's that for you right now?
That's pretty ridiculous.
Ah, perfect. There's a paradigm shift.
Mm-hmm.
And let go of this whole enjoy it while you can. No. I'm going to tell you right here, right now, I should have been dead so many times before in my life. It's amazing. It's a divine intervention that I'm still alive. We never know when the end is here. So there's never out there, enjoy it while I can. No, the statement goes, enjoy it, period, right now. The only time is now. That's it. Be present. So I'm asking you to let go of two things. The shoe frickin' dropping crap and the enjoy it while I can. No, just enjoy, period. Because any way you dice it up, we're all going to die one day. So what would you like to choose? And I'm asking.
I got it. Yeah. I do.
Okay, wrap it up in a bow for everybody. And for me, for you. And whoever's listening. Yeah.
How about this on for size?
Okay.
I'm talking to myself basically.
Good.
I kept thinking about the whole Thomas Edison quote,
yes.
Or scenario. But if Thomas Edison was listening to you right now, this is me being Thomas Edison, I would say the greatest mistakes make the greatest people.
Bingo.
And,
my God. I love it.
And so I'm kind of them because I said I am not afraid. That's ridiculous. Just enjoy it. So there's no waiting. It's just enjoying as circumstances happen. And,
exactly.
And no matter what the circumstances are, good, bad, or indifferent, the greatest mistakes make the greatest people, and that's why I'm a great person now. I've made a bunch of mistakes. Okay.
Exactly. All my mistakes have gotten me here. All my failures have gotten me here. Even in comedy, right? Killed it the first show, bombed the second, did a little better the third, a little better the fourth, maybe bombed a little the fifth. I just kept going, but here's what I focus on. I keep getting up on stage and I'm willing to fail. Bring it. Bring it. Because most human beings would never do that. Never. They talk a big game, but they don't get up there.
They live in mediocrity,
that's
like
right.
you said.
Exactly right. Okay? So I know, so that's it. Because I could go on and on and on. You got for yourself a paradigm shift, right? A no perspective.
Yep.
Okay? And so will you join us again and we'll keep doing this, yes?
Let's keep rolling.
Let's
keep
rolling. Oh, and here's another thing. I will say this. This is a thing that comforted me and comforts all my clients, is that this is a team sport. Life is a team sport. Okay? You're not out there. Even a golfer has a caddy. And that caddy is like, he's married to that caddy. She's married to that caddy.
Right.
Is that you're not in this alone. You're going to have all your team of coaches. When you hit a failure in your mind, this is when you go, oh, okay, time for a session with Karen, or, okay, I got to call my this coach, that coach. Do you understand? You have the resources and the support to help you through. And that's what I have. My team of people and coaches to help me through. I'm not doing this on my own. Are you crazy? Can't be done. So
Right.
you have the resources and the support with people you resonate with that get you.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's the most comforting thing we want to say in this huge game of life.
Yay, Karen's my
Yay!
caddy.
Yay, I'm your caddy. Dum, 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 dum. Use the 5 wood. Knock it out of the park. Right? All right. Wonderful. Any last words of wisdom for anyone out there, for yourself, for me? Wrapping it up?
Yeah, I think I think that Karen should be your caddy. Karen can be your caddy is a great catchphrase.
Oh, I can call myself Caddy Karen.
Yeah, Karen the caddy. I like it.
I told you to use
You're the chatty caddy.
Chatty Caddy Karen, and I'm like, damn it! I'm telling you to use the pitching wedge. What are you doing? Oh. All right, so thank you. You're awesome. Thank you for being here with us to
Thanks.
empower everyone and everything in the world. You're awesome, and looking forward to talking to you again.
Okay, love you. Talk
Love
to
you
you
too.
soon.
Okay, bye.